The San Andreas Fault, one of the most feared fault lines on Earth. Beneath California, unimaginable forces are at work, silently building tension with every passing day. Scientists have warned for decades that if the fault suddenly gives way, the unleashed force could reshape California in an instant, altering both the landscape and daily life in ways few can truly comprehend. Scientists call it the Big One, a massive earthquake that could change everything in a matter of moments. For millions of Californians, it's not a question of if, but when. Skyscrapers could collapse, freeways could split apart, and entire neighborhoods could be reduced to rubble. But just how close are we to seeing this long-feared event unfold? Let's break it down. What exactly is the San Andreas Fault? It stretches over 750 miles, slicing through California like a deep scar in the Earth's crust. It marks the boundary between two massive tectonic plates, the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. These plates are moving in different directions, grinding past each other at a rate of about 2 inches per year. To imagine this, think of two enormous sheets of ice moving slowly and steadily over the surface of a frozen lake. The pressure builds as they push against each other, creating cracks in the ice. Eventually, when the pressure becomes too much, it releases suddenly, sending shards of ice flying in every direction. This fault isn't just a small crack, it's one of the most active fault systems in the world, and it has been shaping California for millions of years. The land around the fault is constantly shifting, creating the jagged peaks of the San Gabriel Mountains and the dramatic cliffs along the coast. But these shifts come with a heavy price. The San Andreas Fault is a double-edged sword, creating beautiful landscapes, but also a looming threat of destruction. We've seen this fault unleash devastation before. The 1906 earthquake was a turning point. San Francisco was left in ruins after a magnitude 7.9 earthquake struck, triggering fires that burned much of the city to the ground. Over 3,000 people died, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in U.S. history. Many Americans watching the 1989 World Series will never forget when the Loma Prieta earthquake struck. The game stopped, the screen went black, and within seconds, highways collapsed, fires erupted, and chaos unfolded. While the quake caused significant damage, it was still not as catastrophic as a worst-case scenario from the San Andreas Fault. How soon could we expect the Big One to strike? Seismologists agree. A massive earthquake is inevitable. Southern California is considered to be especially vulnerable. The last major quake along the southern section of the San Andreas Fault occurred in 1857. Historical data suggests that quakes of this magnitude typically happen every 150 years, meaning that we are long overdue. It's as if the fault has been winding up a spring for over a century, and we are now just waiting for the release of that stored energy. The danger of the Big One lies in the fact that we are dealing with a fault line that is massive, stretching from the Gulf of California all the way up to the northern part of the state. As the tectonic plates keep grinding against each other, immense stress builds up over time. Therefore, when the fault finally shifts, the energy released will send massive shock waves through California, triggering violent shaking, massive ground ruptures, and widespread destruction. Adding to the concern is the possibility of smaller faults connected to the San Andreas, such as the Hayward Fault in the Bay Area. These interconnected faults could set off a chain reaction, making the effects even more devastating. What will happen when it strikes? The aftermath of the Big One will be catastrophic. Imagine buildings collapsing as if they were made of paper, entire city blocks reduced to rubble. Not just old, fragile buildings, but newer structures too. The shaking will be so intense that it will cause concrete and steel to buckle. Skyscrapers will sway and, in some cases, crumble under the sheer force of the quake. Essential infrastructure will be torn apart. Water and power lines will be severed, leaving millions of people without access to electricity, clean water, and communication. In the chaos, hospitals will be overwhelmed, and emergency response teams will be unable to reach those in need due to collapsed roads and bridges. But that's not all. The liquefaction phenomenon, where saturated soil acts like liquid during intense shaking, will make things worse. It will affect areas built on soft ground, particularly in cities like Los Angeles. Entire neighborhoods could sink, causing buildings to tilt or even collapse entirely. Experts predict that the damage from a magnitude 8.0 plus earthquake could cost over $200 billion. The economic impact won't just be local, it will be felt across the country. For retirees and homeowners, the financial impact could be staggering. Insurance rates will skyrocket, real estate values could plunge, and supply chain disruptions will send shockwaves far beyond California. And then, there's the additional threat that many may not even consider: tsunamis. While California is not as vulnerable to tsunamis as regions along the Pacific Ring of Fire, the threat isn't zero. A rupture along certain offshore segments of the San Andreas Fault could displace large volumes of water, creating tsunami waves that could slam into California's coastal cities. In addition, scientists have warned that underwater landslides could occur in the aftermath of a major earthquake. These landslides could trigger localized tsunamis, particularly affecting coastal communities like Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Los Angeles. Could California handle what's coming? While the threat is real, California has made significant strides in preparing for future earthquakes. The state has some of the strictest earthquake-resistant building codes in the world. However, many older structures remain vulnerable. There are ongoing efforts to retrofit older buildings and improve infrastructure, but this is a long-term process that can only go so far. Emergency preparedness is key. Every household is advised to have a supply of food, water, and medical essentials that will last at least 2 weeks. Public education campaigns stress the importance of knowing how to react during an earthquake and how to minimize the risk of injury. Another hopeful sign: earthquake early warning systems. Japan, for example, has implemented a system that gives people seconds to minutes of warning before an earthquake hits. California is working on similar systems, though it's a work in progress. However, even with the best technology, predicting the exact moment an earthquake will occur is still beyond our reach. Beyond the numbers and seismic data, the true impact of a major earthquake will be on the people who experience it. While challenges will arise, history has shown that communities come together in times of crisis. From rebuilding homes to restoring daily life, resilience and preparedness play a key role in moving forward. Californians have faced earthquakes before, and each time, they've rebuilt, adapted, and grown stronger. Survivors from past earthquakes, like those who experienced the 1906 quake, describe the resilience of their communities in the face of disaster. Their stories serve as a reminder that earthquakes strike with huge challenges. The San Andreas Fault has shaped California for millions of years, and will continue to do so. No one knows exactly when the next big quake will strike, but preparation is key. Are you ready? Knowing the risks and having a plan could make all the difference when the big one arrives. Let us know in the comments, how prepared do you feel for a major earthquake? And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world.